In this video series examining logic puzzles, I've previously covered two movement-based puzzles, Lunar Landing and Gecko, and one deduction-based puzzle, Chroma Cube. Now I will look at a very ubiquitous style of logic puzzle, one in which you're given a bunch of pieces and you must do something with those pieces. Create some sort of organized structure or drawing or image or whatever that matches a target given to you by whatever particular challenge you're looking at. In this case, I'm going to be looking at Castle Logix. This is designed by Ralph Peters, who does almost everything that comes out of smart games. If you have played a smart game, you have undoubtedly played one of his designs. This was originally released in 2007. Smart Games did not have distribution on the US market at the time, so Educational Insights was handling that at the moment, but now Smart Games does its own thing. Interestingly, this was originally released for ages 5 and up, whereas the current edition that's on the market with redesigned packaging, although the same components, is for ages 3 and up. So either kids have gotten smarter since this was originally released, or kids back then were dumber, or maybe just standards have changed in terms of what's appropriate. And I can imagine that being the case because this contains very few components. They are large wooden blocks, similar to Haba-style games, such as the My First Games line, where those games are designed for ages even as young as 1.5. A lot of them are for ages 2 and up. But they are as much toy as they are game, similar to how this is as much toy as it is logic puzzle, because you could just play around with the components and mash them together and build things and stick things here and there. But you also have a set of 48 puzzles that you are challenged to recreate with those blocks. And so the youngest players can probably do the first ones, but as you go along to the end, you're definitely going to need either incredibly smart 3-year-olds or help from a parent, or older solvers. Let's see how this works. Here are the components for Castle Logix. They're very straightforward. You have 4 wooden blocks that have castle images on alternate faces, one vertical, one horizontal, with some arrangement of holes in the pieces. And in those holes, you're going to be putting these towers that come in 3 heights. They have little turrets at the top. And you have a book of 48 challenges that you will solve by stacking these pieces together in various ways. Initially, they start extremely straightforward, and this is where you get the ages 3 and up, where you put these 3 pieces out, put the towers in the right place. Bingo, you have matched this challenge. I hope you are able to handle that at age whatever you are. Yes, it's very straightforward, but again, you start with kids young enough, they just have to organize, they're learning these principles of how to put things together. You have the solution for the puzzles on the back where you see through the towers to show where these particular pieces are. And you do that because they get much more challenging, not in this one. The initial starter puzzles are fairly straightforward. You get a little more challenge here where you start having to deduce where things are going. So you do this, you have a tower, do this on top. You might initially think, oh, this 3-piece goes on the bottom because, yeah, it's a 3-piece. It holds a 3-piece, but then you can't put this one here. And so the solver has to figure that out. Again, very straightforward for adults, perhaps not so much for youngsters. As you continue solving the puzzles, you get through the starter set, which use only 6 pieces. In each of those, you get to the junior ones that now incorporate all 7 pieces. Again, fairly straightforward. You start getting a little more tricky with the expert puzzles because these now introduce a balancing element in addition to the logic element of trying to put pieces together to see how everything fits. And again, the challenge is not too extreme here. You just have to recognize that, yes, we want this to stick through, and if we want this to stick through here, we have to use the 2, and done. But you can get more difficult, especially when you start adding in these sort of balancing ones, where you kind of have to assemble this first, and then figure out how you're going to make it work. Tricky part as well, the red one has this face on one side, but it's horizontal on the other side, so depending on how you need the hole in the red piece, you have to orient this the proper way. Again, just a small challenge to work things out. And then when you get to the master level, you just have outlines. And these are good, especially for older solvers. A youngster might have a real challenge with this, but an older player can start to work this out, where the big solving point for this is figuring out where this item goes, because of course it takes up 3 blocks. It can go here, here, or here in this puzzle, because those are the only ones that are 3 long. But of course, if this were here, you would have 2 single pieces below it, and you do not have 2 single pieces, so it doesn't go there. It could go here, but then you've got this single piece that's just floating in air. That's not possible. Therefore, it must go across the top. And then once you figure that out, okay, well, it goes across the top, and this little one goes in here, and this is sticking out, but I don't know exactly what's going on there. Probably. There we go. Get this in there. This. Oh, wait a minute. This goes all the way through. That's not right. I need to do this way. Yes. And there you go. Master at age 51. I can do it. And the solutions on the back, again, showing where the pieces are in particular in case you cannot suss it out on your own. There's a quick overview of Castle Logix, which I acquired in 2007 when it first came out, when I didn't even have a child, or didn't even think of having children at that time. This is for ages 5 and up, but that did not matter to me because I was just interested in seeing every logic puzzle possible. I love looking at systems like these and seeing what a designer does with them, what world they create with which particular components, what rules they have, and then how you evolve the puzzles over that time. And you know generally how this type of thing works, where you start very simple, learning the rules for how to do things, and then evolving over time and getting more complex. This is that exact type of system where you have a single solution for each of these puzzles and everything evolves over time. It's just geared for a much younger audience. Again, this is much toy as activity. I didn't have a child at the time, but my son now is 11. And when Traver was younger, I'd bring this out and he'd play with it for a bit. And you may have the image there and you're trying to match this, and you can kind of, push them in a particular direction, or you just let him wing it for a while and maybe he does it, maybe he doesn't. You don't know. And you put it away for a couple of weeks, then bring it out again and you do more. And you just bring out more. And then when he's asleep, I just do them all myself and just say, yeah, this is kind of neat how you figure things out. And okay, this is where the towers go. Oh, there's a 3 tower here. How's this going to work? You drop something in, it doesn't go all the way down, or it goes farther than you think. And you realize, oh, I don't have something right here. I got to figure out where this, maybe this tower goes over here. Maybe this does this other thing. Very simple challenges geared towards that younger audience. Brainy 3-year-olds, apparently, instead of those dummy 5-year-olds from decades past. Yes, we have much smarter kids these days who are ready to take on the challenges of Castle Logix and then whatever else you may throw at them. At least you can hope so. Or you can instead think of it as something that they will age into over time as they work with this. And this will help them figure out how things fit together. And then later on, you can have them help you, I don't know, change the brake pads on your car. How does that fit together? It's challenges that you're building them up to over time, thanks to logic puzzles like these, just as my dad did when I was young. Yes.